All right. You wrote Class.
I co-wrote Class.
You co-wrote Class.
I did.
Why did you choose to write Class as like your first project?
Well, I actually I got asked to join. So Tariq was already my partner, writer director. Tariq Jackson. He actually had done a short film called Drunken Hot Girls, and he wanted to turn it into a web series. But so he asked me to help him out in terms of figuring out how to expand his short film into a longer narrative.
Okay.
Yeah, and so I mean, I came in there mainly because I'm good with story. Tariq went to USC for directing. I went there for writing.
Okay.
So we kind of teach each other, differing things. My main thing was like I wanted it to not be a show that is specifically about this one really horrible incident that happens, which is about a rape incident.
Right.
But it's about really the whole college experience as a whole, and really just kind of showing people, I guess, college in the way they haven't really seen before, because college is, for whatever reason, not really shown on TV or that much these days.
Right.
Yeah.
So before that, how long have you been like writing creatively?
I'd say maybe about 6 years, 6-7 years before that.
Okay.
Like I mentioned, I went to USC, and so we had done that project after I had finished at USC. So I had been at USC for 2.5 years. I was in their screenwriting program. Wrote a couple screenplays while I was there, a couple pilots, a couple spec scripts. Just kind of learning my craft, learning what kind of writer I was, learning what kind of stories I wanted to tell.
Why'd you get into writing?
This is actually a funny story. I fell into it completely out of spite.
What?
Yeah. Okay, so growing up, I never wanted to be a filmmaker because I thought it was kind of like, I had a friend, one of my best friends, he's like, yo, I want to be a director, I want to be an actor. And I always looked at him like, dude, really? You think you can? Not really like being a dick, as in like you don't have talent.
That's how you said it. Really? Like
it was in my mind.
Garbage, bro.
No, not that he didn't have talent.
Right.
It's more so like, you know how hard that is. Like I was basically being like every other person, because I didn't realize that I was a creative at the time. I think I was maybe kind of like suppressing it or just whatever. But I was just being like, dog, that's really hard. You should maybe think about doing something a little bit blah blah blah. Study this, study that. Just because I've always been this very practical Salim, even worse when I was younger. Before I realized that
You think your upbringing has something to do with that?
Hell yeah.
What?
Like, I'm the son of a college professor. Okay. So a lot of that was kind of bore into me.
Where's your pops from again?
He's from South Central.
Okay.
And then my mother's from Tanzania, East Africa.
Okay.
So yeah.
Got it. I know you had told me before, but I forgot.
Yeah, no, I always just say I tell people I'm black, and they inquire further.
Right.
I'm like, all right, do you really want? I can tell you my whole family tree on both sides.
Right.
But the reason why I got into writing is like I had a friend. So after that whole thing happened, once I got to high school, a friend of mine was like, yo, this dude is supposedly writing a screenplay for Steven Spielberg. I'm like, man, fuck that dude. I hate that dude. If he could we could totally write a screenplay, bruh. Mm-hmm. And so we just sat and we wrote like our first screenplay together. And
a feature. Okay.
It was about like a girl, typical shit.
What's typical shit?
It was about. It was our version of Closer, the movie Closer, but it takes place in college. Okay. Yeah, so it's just like about relationships.
Yeah. Never seen a movie about that.
That's what I'm saying. Typical shit.
Never.
Your first story better be about your life, so you get it out your system, so that every other story after that is not a repeat of it.
Got it.
That's some advice for you guys. But yeah, so after we wrote the first screenplay, that was it. And I mean, granted, that shit was terrible. It was bad. Like I wrote a note to everybody on my Facebook saying like, whoever read my screenplay, it didn't tell me how actually shitty it was. Thank you. Because if you would have told me, I would not have continued writing. I would have been like, oh, this isn't for me. Like, I'll try something else.
So what was the threshold for you for, like, okay, you just said, if somebody had told you that your writing was shitty and you would have stopped.
Yeah.
at what point did you reach that threshold where you're like, okay, if something is shitty, please tell me so I can improve it? Like, when did that happen for you? When did that turn happen?
Well, I mean, I've always wanted constructive criticism. I think that it's difficult to do constructive criticism on something that's really bad, because you don't know how to really tell them how bad it is. You don't want to break their spirit, because like, and that's and so it's one of those things, kind of like, oh, it was pretty good,
right?
You know, keep at it,
right?
But they didn't really tell me like, man, this is bad.
But don't you feel like that's how the industry continues to thrive and make money?
Oh yeah.
Like, because I mean, constantly in writing classes they're gonna say, oh yeah, keep going. In acting classes, oh yeah, you're when everybody in the room that sees it knows it's shit.
Yeah.
But there's no money in them. They're not gonna make money from these people, because they're not going to keep coming back, right? Like, if they don't tell them, like, oh yeah, it's good, you're getting better at it, you're getting better at it, like, so
it requires you having people that you trust,
right,
who can give you constructive criticism.
Got it.
And that's, and that to me was one of the biggest reasons why I wanted to go to film school.
Okay.
Is because I felt like growing up in Claremont, a little suburb, I was the only one, kind of among my friends being like, yo, I got this new idea, and I pitch it to them, and they just kind of look at me like, cool. Okay. I'm like, give me some more. Does it suck? Is it good? What did you, and then I'm realizing, well, that's just not them. Like, that's just me. I'm just thinking about this shit 24/7.
Got it.
And so, as a creative, it's extremely important that you find a community of people,
right,
that you can just be creative with.
Right.
It's tough. Like, I tell people all the time, like, being creative, being an artist, once you realize that that's what you are and that's what your life is, it sucks a little bit, because you're like, I don't want to do anything else. I can't do anything else. I mean, the thing is, I can do anything, but I have to. What I can do is I have to be interested in it. Right. This is the only thing right now that I'm really, really, really interested in.
Well, that's exactly what we were talking about earlier, right? Like, like you were talking about. Okay, well, the proof of concept for Bush Baby was whack because you felt like the performances, like, they were.
I didn't say it was whack. I didn't say it was whack.
Well, whatever, whack or whatever, not whatever it was, right? But it just goes back to the concept of, if you're actually interested in what you're doing, it makes it interesting. Yeah. For the people who are receiving it. Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly. You have, and I think that's with anything. Right. You can always tell when people aren't really into what they're doing. Right. You know what I mean? And I'm like, that's why I was like, I worked at 9 to 5. I worked at Hulu in customer support for a year, and I had plenty of opportunities to work my way up, and I saw other people who were working there who wanted to be this and wanted to be that. But I was like, that's not. And I realized it, because that's not what my drive is. Right. Like, that's not where the end of my road is at Hulu customer support. Right. And I'm not looking down on anybody who is like, they're getting to that point and they get to this point. That's not me. I tell stories. Right. I see pictures. Like, I hear voices, of characters. That's what I do. And my best I think my best way to contribute to this world is figuring out how to hone that gift and present it to the world.
So what eventually, if you could have, like, if a studio said, we're going to greenlight 3 projects for you, like, what would those 3 projects be about? Man. And why?
Oh man, that's like a job interview question, bro. All right, I will try. Okay, I'll try my hardest, because the thing is that there's so many different kinds of projects that, like, I would love to do a Star Wars project. Okay. I would love to do a Marvel project. Right. I would love to do my own Star Wars. I want to, like, because I do sci-fi, not just sci-fi. I do genre specific, so action, sci-fi, horror. Right. My whole thing is I want to show people that people of color, people like us, exist in these worlds, in these movies. People of color exist in the future. In fact, there's probably going to be more of us in the future.
Yeah, you would think, right?
There is going to be, like, statistically, there's going to be more of us. Right. So, and I feel like
we like to procreate,
We like to make babies. We do. We like to make babies. It's very true. And so why not have movies and TV shows that represent what the rest of the United States looks like, what the rest of the world looks like. Right. It's not.
Do you think that's happening though? Do you think, like, it's moving in the right direction, or do you think that, like,
it's unfortunately it's always a cyclical thing. So I think right now it's like people of color and culture and diversity is popular because the Oscars are so white. I don't know how long it's going to keep like that, I hope it stays for a while, but I think what it requires is people like me, people like you, people like Brother Tariq, creators who are specifically saying this is the kind of stuff that I'm creating, so that this becomes a thing.
Okay.
And it's gonna be tough, but I think that we're in a time where I can sell myself like that, and people can actually see the money in it. That's what you always got to bring it back to.
Of course, it always comes.
You got
to
bring it back
money,
to the money. No, you can't say, "Oh, this is my dream. I want to help other people." They don't give a fuck about you.
They don't give a fuck about none of that shit.
And I'm like, "Yo, I can make you money. Look at the Fast and the Furious. Look at these other. Look at most movies that have a diverse cast do better than movies that don't have diverse cast. It's all about just think about the money."
Well, I mean, look at the past couple of years. I mean, they gave Coogler $1 million to make Fruitville. And I think they made like 16 or 17.
Yeah.
So they made $16 million on, about a project, about what happened.
About the life of a black man.
Exactly. And then
he dies.
And then look at the same thing that could potentially happen with The Land.
For The Land, yeah.
Or Birth of a Nation.
Yeah, Birth, yeah.
Birth of a Nation killed it at every festival that it's been in.
It sold for, 17.5 million.
And what did they make it in?
20.
And what, I don't know how much.
10 million.
Yeah, okay. So there. Okay. Now, seeing that that's happening, do you think that market of that low budget minority movie will make a comeback? And they'll allow us to start having more of an avenue to start telling these kinds of stories because of the fact that they know that it'll make money?
That's yet to still be determined. I feel like that's more of a problem with the indie market as a whole.
Okay.
The indie market right now is struggling, and unfortunately they've been kind of, either you're gonna make a micro budget movie, and this is something.
What's a micro budget?
Micro budget is like $1 million and below.
Okay.
And then and so which is difficult. And then some like our friend Steve, who just did a movie The Land. He was dealing with the whole budget, in terms of how much, to do it for. He could have done it for less, but then, some producers wanted to do it for more. So it's just like trying to figure out just the best way to kind of do it.
Right.
And, that's why the whole indie market is just, it's tough because at the end of the day, they don't make a lot of money. Like Sundance last year.
But they make good films.
They make good films, but last year, the majority of the very popular Sundance movies did not make much money this year at the theater. Yeah. And so that's another. But what's going to help this? Yeah. Netflix.
Yeah.
Netflix has literally, and everybody's rebelling against it, but they're literally showing us, there's a model that can exist where your movies can be seen and you can make money. But unfortunately, you might not be able to have the same theatrical run. But in the long run, does it really matter if you have a theater full of empty seats that nobody's watching your movie versus people watching your movie on Netflix?
Right.
And you getting a couple of theaters that people are actually going to be packed in.
Right. Well, I mean, look at Beasts of No Nation. Yeah. That came out on Netflix, and that movie's fire.
Now, it's not a tried and true method because Birth of a Nation declined going to Netflix, and I think that was a good choice because that movie is going to do big. It is going to be 12 Years a Slave. Yeah. So you don't want that to be just on Netflix. Yeah. And a part of me does feel like Beasts of No Nation, I wish had a better theatrical run because I actually did see it in the theaters and it looked incredible.
Did it?
It looked really there's some scenes in there that just look visually just striking on the big screen.
As opposed to on the TV screen.
Exactly. And so I think that there are certain, I think most comedies that come out now should be Netflix releases. Because as we've been seeing with Neighbors 2, with Keanu.
But then how do they make money?
Through the Netflix money. I mean, they Netflix generates the money. Like Adam Sandler's making
subscriptions.
Through subscriptions, yeah. Like the Adam Sandler's movie that just came out, The Do-Over. Yeah. Which was I was shocked. It was actually really good.
Really?
I couldn't. It's weird for me to even say the sentence. Adam Sandler had a good movie, it wasn't an Adam Sandler movie. It was just a good comedy,
right? That
him and David Spade was in. And I know that Netflix was like, we gave you a deal, we let you do the first one, but come on, if you're gonna have the Netflix sign on the front of your movie, it can't be complete shit. Right. So there's a model. Like Netflix has dough, and they're giving the dough out. The thing is that people have to swallow is the pride of not being able to release it in the theater. Right. That's what it comes down to. They'll make even more money. Like so I'm saying, they were offering Birth of a Nation $3 $3.5 million more, or $3 million more, whatever. So
Damn.
2.5.
That's wild.
I can do math.
Better learn how to do math.
Whatever. Hey, I'm a writer. That's why I have a manager and an accountant. Yeah, and they're gonna be fucking stealing from me too. And all
exactly. And you can be like, oh yeah, I made $37 on this.
Where's my money?
That I spent 3 months writing.
That's the problem with being an artist, okay?
No, I mean,
terrible with money.
As long as you're good with eating McChickens and chimichangas for the rest of your life, dude, you're good.
You know what?
You know what I'm saying?
At a certain point, you do kind of get tired of those.
All right, so what's like I mean, you're lucky in the sense that your family's from.
My family's out here.
Yeah, but even I mean, besides that, what's been like one of like your what was like your lowest point, I guess, as a writer, in terms of like, shit, am I gonna be able to do this? Am I gonna be able to get this off the ground? I mean, I guess what I'm asking is, were there moments, and are there still moments of doubt?
Oh yeah.
And how do you overcome that?
It's usually whenever you write something that you feel very, very, very good about.
Okay.
And then you get it to somebody, and then they just kind of completely
shit
all over it.
Yeah.
And then you're just like, but I spent so much time on this.
Right.
I made sure that and then when they say it's just not working, that's that makes you just kind of rethink things.